If you're a fitness trainer or a wellness professional who's trying to grow your on-site and online coaching business, we know the never-ending list of challenges. The need to switch between various platforms for marketing, scheduling, and collecting payments is exhausting. 360 Wellness is a holistic solution that seamlessly integrates your entire business into one digital platform. Our web-based application transforms your business management in just 3 easy steps. Create your company, mention your key services, upload your company logo, and you are ready to coach clients from all over the world. Clients tab lets you invite your contacts and start building your client base. Classes tab lists all your services and gives clear visibility to your members. You can choose to list either private or public classes for your clients based on your availability. On-Demand tab helps boost productivity by reducing the dead time between classes and listing your available slots in real time with an option of instant booking. All your coaching services are instantly notified to your clients with the 360 Wellness integrated mobile app. Finance tab tracks your payment received and easily proceeds payouts to you and your team while monitoring your revenue analytics. With no sign-up or subscription fee, 360 Wellness is the most convenient solution to empower you by helping you focus on what's important, building your business. Sign up for 360 Wellness today. It can't get any easier than this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Building Unicorns panel. We will be sharing with you the vision and growth of fitness and wellness apps in Asia Pacific. This is a fast-growing sector, especially during these times when we had lockdowns and restrictions, and people have been shifting away from traditional gyms and studios to great new opportunities and possibilities. So we cannot wait to get the panel started. We have with us today 3 amazing founders of their incredible apps, and they will be sharing more about it and also some insights. So before we get into the main bulk of the questions, I'm going to invite these gents to share more about their company, and also can they share that one sentence they may tell an investor about their company. So I'm going to bring up Gilles first.
Hi, Jolin, and thanks Fit Summit for having me. So I'm Gilles. I'm the founder and CEO of Rebel. So Rebel, in short, is the health and fitness app for Southeast Asia. That's the tagline.
Perfect. That's short and sweet. Amazing. How about Kevin?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. I'm the founder of 360 Sports, an innovative fitness tech startup founded in Singapore, developing product and technologies to contribute in shaping the future of the fitness world.
Thank you, Kevin. And now we're bringing Tushar to share more about his company.
Well, HealthifyMe is today Asia's largest health and fitness app. We've helped healthify 30 million people till now. We've done that by using technology to help drive behavior change that gets people to eat better, work out more, and get fitter. And our mission is to healthify 1 billion people, and we're working hard at it.
Thanks, Tushar. Thanks, everyone, for sharing more about the company and that one sentence. Now we're going to move on to the first question, where we're going to ask about the core offerings and features of your apps. And also the very important question, what sets you apart from the other amazing apps and other platforms that we have now? There are so many in the market. So I'm going to bring in Gilles to share that first.
Yes, so quick story maybe about Rebel. So we launched end of last year. So the company is about a year old with the Philippines as our first market. So we have over 300,000 users now in the Philippines. I think what's unique about Rebel, we really focused on the Southeast Asian market, I think, to start with. And that's where we see kind of the opportunity we want to focus on. What's unique about Southeast Asia is a lot of people, the majority of people are kind of new to health and fitness, right? It's unlike the US and Europe, where it has been kind of a movement over the past, couple of decades. Now people are fairly new, and I think that changes and that shapes our approach to what we do. So we're heavily content driven, and what we've been focusing is really localizing the experience. And there are 3 words that guides everything that we do. One is accessibility, making it as accessible as possible for as many people as possible through the region. Second thing is affordability. So The Rebel app is actually free to get started with. You don't need to pay or subscribe to it, but we have different layers, for people that want more of their experience. And the third thing is simplicity, making it as simple for somebody that is new to health and fitness to get started, and obviously, get to learn and progress throughout. So I think that's what drives us. A lot of, I would say, maybe health and fitness apps, especially these days, they tend to focus on, AI, machine learning, and a lot of things that I think are great. That's not really the case for us. I think what we're trying to do, where a lot of companies maybe are replacing the human component and replacing the coaches by, data and artificial intelligence, what we're doing here is really placing the coach at the center of the ecosystem. So if you download the Rebel app today, you can find over 700 videos across fitness, healthy eating, and mindfulness meditation. All of that content has been shot entirely locally in Southeast Asia, and it's been really driven for the Southeast Asian market, really, and starting with the Philippines. So we've really, tried to really build a team with the very, very best coaches. And the approach has always been, okay, can we connect these coaches to the widest possible audience, right? And what we've seen is a lot of people, even if they had access to content online on, say, YouTube or other channels, they were really missing that localized component. So I would say that has been kind of the first driver of the Rebel app. And since then, we've taken it a bit further. So we've launched Rebel Pro, which is a corporate offer for companies throughout the region. We have Rebel Live. So we host every week over 30 live workouts. We gather over 1,000 people per week. And right now we're launching something new called Rebel Coach, which is, again, kind of keeping the coach at the center of the experience and connecting them to user. I'll talk maybe about this a bit later on. So yeah, that's kind of where we are, and a quick one about Rebel.
Everything sounds very exciting and amazing. And it's also localized, which I think is great about Asia Pacific based apps, because you really cater for the region. And I think a lot of people can benefit from that. I'm going to also bring in Kevin now, because I want to know more about what you think, are going to set you apart in terms of your product and your vision. And do share more about your core products and features as well.
Sure. 360 Sports, we have currently developed two brands and products. One is 360Wellness, which is a complete suite of mobile and web solutions for health and fitness professionals to fully operate the now hybrid offering to their clients. We know that digital fitness and online workout are here to stay. And now they need solutions to be able to seamlessly bill, invoice, deliver live classes, as well as receive booking for on-site boot camps or personal training sessions. That's 360 Wellness platform. But we also have developed DFit, the #1 digital fitness cryptocurrency that was launched 6 months ago. The goal with DFit is actually to gamify the whole 360 Wellness platform and give another incentive to people to work out, encourage them to move more and get paid in DFit tokens for all of the efforts they're putting in. On top of the gamification, we also realized that now health and fitness professionals have clients all over the world, right? With the pandemic, some clients moving back to Europe from Singapore, for example, and they want to keep their personal trainers in Singapore and do online workout instead of finding a new one. And that caused the problem of accepting multi-currency payments. And we thought that building DFit ecosystem will become a universal currency for people to proceed transactions and offer it as a real, credible, secured alternative to traditional fiat payment systems.
Very amazing developments, Kevin. We're very excited for that. I'm going to bring in Tushar as well to share more about his core offerings and features, and also what do you say sets you apart from the other apps and platforms in the marketplace?
Well, thanks for asking that. We are actually leading the technological innovation in behavior change. And, traditionally we've done that via calorie counting. We were the first ones to quantify and digitize Indian foods. We did that with Southeast Asian foods. And as we launch in other markets, we typically are the first ones to digitize and help people understand what they're eating so that they can eat healthier and make healthier choices. But above and beyond the calorie counting, we have coaching that we provide via 2,000 nutritionists and qualified trainers in the region, and also via our AI coach called Ria. We have billions of foods that have been tracked on our platform, hundreds of millions of messages that have been exchanged. And we really learn from that and try to understand golden paths, nudges, diet plans, fitness plans that help people make healthier choices and therefore lose weight and get fitter. And we actually model those pathways out and offer that to our customers. And because the majority of our subscribers are AI subscribers, it allows us to offer our solution at an order of magnitude cheaper price points than is otherwise possible in the world today. So our AI offerings started as early as low as $3 a month. It is really at that price point or potentially even lower that we believe we can healthify 1 billion people, which is what we are offering today. So I want to say, and as we integrate with other connected devices, with continuous glucose monitors, with heart rate solutions, et cetera, I think we want to be at the forefront of where technology can look at data and human interaction and really offer qualified coaching and nudging and behavior change at a really affordable price point. And we've done that at a certain scale. We're going to clock $50 million in our revenues, annualized revenues by January. But there's a lot more to be done. The whole world needs our solution. We have 3 billion people that will be obese by 2030. And, it is up to companies like, the ones in this panel and ourselves to really help them be healthier and fitter and hope that we'll achieve that as well.
Thank you, Tushar, for sharing and the insights. All right, we have this amazing question next. Which is, when you're analyzing activities on your platform in the past 12 months, what have you seen? Any trends you have observed? And how has that affected your plans? Did you change anything, or your plans are actually going according to how it was? Maybe I can get Kevin first to share more.
Health and fitness professionals today have a more diversify income stream, right? When the revenue used to come 100% from on-site sessions, it's now more diversified with a ratio around 70-30. And we launched a beta platform beginning of the year in Q1 and operated with about 20 early adopters, instructors mostly from Singapore, and completed several user interviews to understand what do they need to spend less time in admin management and more time doing what they love the most, which is coaching, right? During that phase, we developed the full UI and UX for the web app platform, which we have been building over the last 6 months and are getting ready at the moment to launch towards the end of the year. And we have already signed up over 750 instructors across 29 countries, mostly focused as well in Southeast Asia, since India, Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore are the top 4 markets that we have at the moment. So it is clear, looking at the conversion rates that we've got during this outreach campaign over the last 3 months, that those health and fitness professionals, all of those freelancers, all of those instructors, do not have the product they need at the moment. We engaged over 15,000 and we're having an engagement rate way over 11% and a conversion to waitlist that just keeps on increasing every month and currently is about 4.5%, which is outstanding. They are chasing us weekly about the web app launch, which allows us to scale and for them to easily get on board, create the company profile, invite the clients, and start operating the entire business onto the 360 Wellness ecosystem. So showing all of that enthusiasm and those 700 instructors chasing us on weekly basis to get the product out shows that there is a clear need today for new digital solution for them to make their life easier and help them to scale their business faster.
That is some very good stress there you have, Kevin, when people just keep knocking on your door for, please launch it now, update. So good to hear. So that's good success for the long term. Gilles, do you have the same sentiments? Any things you've observed during activities in the past 12 months, and how has this affected your long-term development plans?
Yeah, good question. We're just about 12 months old, so that's kind of covers the whole period of launch for Rebel. So I think, the first thing when you work on a company, obviously you're excited about the launch, but you're never exactly sure how big it's going to be, right? So I think first thing is we were super excited by the demand and the impact we had when we launched. So I think the first month we had about 100,000 people that signed up right away when Rebel was, just a brand new brand coming to market. So I think just says that there was, and there still is, very high excitement in Southeast Asia for fitness, for digital fitness specifically, and probably amplified obviously with the effect of COVID. So we had obviously people that were stuck in the longest lockdowns. I think the Philippines also especially had the longest lockdown in the world pretty much. So when we're thinking about Rebel, we're always thinking about what can we deliver that can be of value to people right now, right? And so we launched with content, and we were data-driven from day one. So the trends we saw were people, and probably a consequence of also being stuck at home without being able to move so much, wanted a lot of low impact, like beginner-friendly exercises. So we doubled down on that right away. And then people were really looking forward to programs, right, where they could build themselves over time, over 30 days, 60 days. So we focused on that as well. What they wanted, obviously, was also a lot of local content. And we saw that a lot with food, where there's a lot of content about healthy eating out there, right? It's no secret. But what we're seeing is a lot of content was about avocado, chia seeds, kale, which are a lot of ingredients that are not really accessible to most people in Southeast Asia. If you think about it, like imported, very expensive. And so we focused a lot on healthy recipes that people could cook at home, with ingredients locally available in the markets, right? So I think that was kind of a game changer, which brought in a lot of demand around what we call the eat section. I think another trend that we saw is content that was entertaining and fun, and obviously influencer or celebrity driven became very, very popular very quickly. And I think that comes from a natural demand of people that they want to exercise, especially when they're new, but they don't want to have a hard time or a painful time, right? You want that time to be really fun and exciting. So we launched a series, a dance workout series, like together with a telco, top telco in the Philippines, Globe, which was a Blackpink Power that became very, very popular. We had a couple of series with Nico Bolzico, who's a top celebrity in the Philippines, very, very popular as well. So I think these were like the trends we saw. Underlying all of this, and I think what we saw, which only amplified over time throughout the year, is community. I think from day one, we saw a lot of people that kind of wanted to connect together. And what we started to see, and that's why we also launched Rebel Live, to give people the opportunity to work out together in a live setting, is people wanted, deeply to make friends and to engage in activities together, right? And so we looked progressively at all the tools we could activate to make that happen. So right now we have Facebook community group. I think it's over 15,000 people. We have a Viber community group, which is daily active. And we have a lot of community initiatives that we launch every single week, pretty much, to allow people to meet and to come together in this period. Yeah.
Thank you for all those insights, Gilles, and happy 1-year anniversary for Rebel. What about you, Tushar? What are your thoughts on tracking the activity on the platform in the past 12 months, and any trends you see that may or may not have affected your long-term plans?
Well, I think, last 12 months, COVID has certainly been on everyone's minds. And pandemic has meant that everybody's been very, most of us who've worked from home have also been very focused on our lifestyle choices. We've all been very mindful of eating better, of working out more, and overall focusing on health. In a way, in fact, COVID has also put a big spotlight on the importance of being healthier and fitter. We know that people who were, who were healthier, who were fitter, had lower risk of hospitalization than people who were obese or who had, lifestyle diseases or metabolic syndrome like diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, thyroid, etc., linked with obesity. So I think it it has really put a mega spotlight on the importance of keeping our BMIs in check, of keeping our bodies and minds healthier and fitter. And I think that is reflected in all health and fitness solutions worldwide. Consumer engagement, consumer adoption, revenues have all exponentially increased across the world. And while HealthifyMe is, of course, has very strongly, I think, quadrupled in the last 18 months or so, from our revenue scales and our users' perspective. Like I said, we'll be crossing 30 million users and $50 million of run rate revenues, which was very different 2 years ago. But really, I think overall awareness in health and fitness has gone up. And, in a way, we should be grateful for that, even though COVID has been a very sobering human activity in the last couple of years. But I think it has changed behaviors for good for the next 1 decade. I think people are going to continue to be better and mindful, more healthier and fitter in their choices. And, for all COVID, therefore, may end up saving more lives than it has taken away in the long run because of this increased awareness that we all see.
Thank you, Tushar, for your insights. We now want to ask that question, which would benefit a lot of people hearing, which is, how do we tackle the never-ending challenge of, getting new subscribers and retaining these new subscribers? So let's pick the brains of these entrepreneurs. Gilles, we're going to pick your brain first.
Sure, thanks. That's the big question, right? And as you've said, it's a never-ending challenge. So I think there's two things, acquisition and retention. And I think both of them are obviously require a lot of work, and we have not figured everything out, obviously. I think acquisition, I think the main challenge is fitness, I think, is one of the most competitive industries, I think, period. And people that compete in fitness are also, I think, competitive by nature, right? It's sports and we all want to be the best. So I think if you look at fitness, you have so many things. You have YouTube, you have fitness trackers, you have connected equipment, you have so many different things out there, tons of apps. I think for us, it's really about keeping things fresh, localized, and exciting. A comparison I like to take sometimes is if you think about Netflix. Obviously, we have our favorite shows and we're always looking forward to the next season, but we always want to see something new coming up, right? And whatever comes up next, usually we give it a go and we want to try it out. So for us, it has been, because we've been essentially content driven from day one, it's always coming up with new concepts that are exciting. So we structure these seasonally. I think that's one way. So obviously New Year, last year we had Rebel Resolution. This year, we're going to launch Rebel Restart quite soon. We have obviously Rebel Beachbody, Rebel Summer, which is all about, the summer and the content. And different challenges throughout the year. We had Rebel Life and Rebel Transform. We just happen to give people a lot of energy. So essentially, it's always coming up with something fun, exciting, entertaining that can really get people moving. I think the second thing is you want to stay very nimble, and I would say listen to customers. It's an industry that moves really fast, especially right now. We go into lockdowns, out of lockdowns, things reopen, close again. So you really need to, I think, to challenge yourself and think about, okay, what do people want right now? Do they want a program that can help them go back to the gym, maybe, right? If gyms are reopening. Do they want something to help them maintain while the gyms are closed? Or do they want something that they can do in the gym and outside of the gym, right? So these are all questions we ask ourselves. That was on acquisition. I hope I was not too long. On retention, so I think retention is always the number one challenge in that vertical in health and fitness. And because it's a category that's unsticky by nature, if you want to call it, we're all working on it. I'm sure even on this panel, all of us kind of, struggle with fitness sometimes. We start, we pause, sometimes we lose the habit. So I think for us, retention has always been, so of course you can do things like reminders, you can do challenges, you can push people to continue. But for us, what has been the strongest actually pull has always been community. Again, I get back to this. If you think about kind of this is an example I like to take, the gym experience, what makes you you go to the gym, maybe you sign up for the motivation to be with other people and the equipment. And what makes you want to go back is really the community you have there, right? And I think for us is, okay, how could we translate that community experience online? And what we've figured out is when you're part of a group, the other people in the group will tell you, hey, we missed you at the class last time, or hey, how come you haven't done the challenge with us? That is actually the strongest, what we feel like, retention mechanism at the end of the day. So working a lot on different ways to, again, engage users in our communities and make them, exercise together and do things together and support each other. Yeah.
Thank you, Gilles, for the creative ideas and all these examples. I'm going to ask Tushar the same question. How do you tackle the challenge of acquiring and then retaining your subscribers?
That is a never-ending challenge, and it's a difficult one. Since Homo sapiens were created, fundamentally and evolutionarily speaking, we were designed to conserve energy, to add fat to our bodies, because we were always in a struggle of malnutrition and famines. We didn't know when we would get the food next, so conserve as much as we could. But that has changed. A couple of decades ago, for the first time in human history, we had more people obese than malnourished. And malnourishment has come down. So, we had about 1 billion people obese and 1 billion malnourished 2-3 decades ago. And today it's only 250 million malnourished and 2.5 billion people who are obese. And, that ratio is further tilting. So I think clearly our awareness, while our minds and awareness patterns have changed, that's why we want to adopt and use health and fitness apps and gyms and fitness subscriptions. I think our bodies are not, the evolution hasn't caught up quite yet. And therefore retention and engagement and getting to work out is physiologically a very difficult thing to do. Whereas eating more physiologically is a very pleasurable and a very, very, very nice thing to do for all of us. So we are fighting against evolution here, and that is definitely a huge challenge. We heard good examples of how others are tackling it. Frankly, what we do is we just help people. We know what kind of messaging works, with AI, with data science, and with scale now. And we just double down on those efforts. We use specific notifications at specific times to trigger people to utilize the app. We know that sometimes you have to let it go a little bit with our customers and, really sort of catch them at curves when we believe their predisposition towards health and fitness is higher. Trying to get people to be, to eat better and work out more on New Year's Eve is probably a terrible idea. But doing that on New Year's first day is a fantastic way. And, so many of those solutions have been baked into our design itself. And then we have behavioral scientists, human coaches, people who understand customers, and they help us tune and tweak our solution offerings even further, such that we can actually continuously engage people. But I think the thing that makes the greatest difference is the quality of the service that you do and the impact you deliver. We have a NPS of nearly 60, so what that means is that when people are engaging with us, they have a fantastic time. We help people lose 5 kgs of weight on average in their paid subscription. And we help people reduce their diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, thyroid, etc., by a measurable, empirically known amount. So some people may drop off at the end of their premium program at one point, but we know for a fact that they'll come back to us in the future because they've had a fantastic experience. And more importantly, because they have a free solution they can continue to stay engaged with. Most offerings have just a paid platform and no free app. In our case, there's a freemium model. So our premium consumers, they go from free to paid. And once they're done with that, they might hang around in the free solution for a while and they come back to being paid. So, look, long answer, but to summarize, good notification and content design, which has been trained and tuned over time, having a free and a paid offering, and delivering high NPS, high quality experience are probably the 3 reasons we are able to, fight against evolution in our own ways.
Great insights, Tushar. Thank you for sharing them. Last, we're going to have Kevin to talk about this big question again. So how do you and the team tackle this challenge of acquiring and retaining your subscribers?
We will speak about retention next year at the Fit Summit. We are still into an early stage, and at the moment, it's all about acquisition. We are not into a B2C model, right? We're into a B2B2C model. So our main focus is building the platform and all the product technology to make a big change into the way health and fitness professionals operate their business. We are not necessarily focused onto social media marketing, but we are more into a direct outreach kind of approach where we reach out to health and fitness professionals, stating the problems that they are most likely facing at the moment and letting them know about the solution we are building for them. And at the moment, the biggest challenge for us is not necessarily to find a way to acquire more, because we are more struggling into coping with the demand and having sufficient resources to develop that product technology and launch as soon as possible. So being in an early stage, it's always exciting. I think everyone launching a new product have great growth at start. We will see in 6 months from now how things goes, but we are definitely well on track for 1,000 health and fitness professionals onto the platform by the end of the year. Not only fitness instructors, but we also have about 10% of yoga instructors. We're having lifestyle coaches from Australia and other countries joining us. We're also having nutritionists, even a sleep doctor from the UK. So creating that health and fitness professional community is the main target for us until the end of the year for that web app and complete ecosystem launch. And I mean, if I project the numbers that we're having towards, at the moment, the last 3 months until the end of the year, being on track to 1,000, we plan to have over 7,000 health and fitness instructors by next year. And I think we will only be scratching the surface. If you look at the global figures, there is more than 3.7 million people in the world working in part-time in gyms or freelancing in health and fitness coaching. And I think this number just keeps on increasing, right? Because due to the pandemic that affected all our lives, a lot of people as well realized that they don't want a 9-to-5 job anymore, and they want to do what they love the most. And we see a lot of people starting to become a personal trainer, right? So there'll be a lot of work and demand as well on certifications globally to start validating the learnings and knowledge of those professionals. And hopefully we will be there to help them and offer some solutions for some partners as well. So acquisition is going great. Direct outreach campaign. Our social media presence is not that strong. Our website is definitely need a revamp, which is coming towards the end of the year. And we want to build that human-to-human connection, right? Connecting with them. We've got a team of 6 client success managers at the moment and onboarding specialists. And that's the main focus that we're having, because those instructors have their own community, right? They have their own clients. The big ones know how to do online coaching, but all of us freelancers don't have a solution to that, but they have the loyal clients that support them, follow them on the Facebook page fan, follow them on the Instagram account. And we are building the solutions once we onboard those instructors to be able to actually very easily sync the different social media accounts and invite the entire community to move over. So that's the B2B strategy that we're having at the moment, and is actually going pretty well. Retention will be another problem for another year.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, you shared so much about the features and the new developments that we will look forward to in our June Fit Summit next year, that you would share about all these updates and also then your thoughts on the retention. So Gilles, similar to what Kevin has mentioned, he mentioned a lot of new updates, new features, new partnerships, new communities that he's going to build. How about for Rebel? Could you share in terms of what's on the horizon, any new revenue streams or features or partnerships that you're looking at?
Yeah, no, definitely. So to recap a bit what we do right now. So we have the content app Rebel, and there is Rebel Plus, which pretty much gives you a lot more content, programs, access to all these live workouts for a small subscription fee. And that's kind of the main consumer business. Next to that, there's what we call Rebel Pro. So we work with, some of the biggest regional companies like HSBC, Nissan, Globe, the biggest telco in the Philippines, or San Miguel Corporation, which actually is the biggest company in the Philippines by headcount, towards making their teams healthier. So these are like entirely integrated fitness programs, which are done on the app and live, that pretty much help, all their teams, live a healthier lifestyle. The third one is we do a lot of brand partnerships. So currently we work with Samsung and Adidas. And so that's always towards creating exciting content together with a brand, especially content that hasn't been done before in such way. So we're quite excited about new programs that we're doing together for the end of this year, next year. Now, the main thing we've been working on, and that's been kind of in stealth mode, but I'm going to share a bit about this lately, is something we call it Rebel Coach. So the main idea of Rebel Coach is something and that's always what we try to do pretty much with Rebel, is we try to listen to what customers want and what they tell us they pretty much need. And what we've seen is a lot of people, and especially a lot of beginners, as they were getting started, I think they were finding the content very useful, but a lot of them wanted to go a bit beyond and wanted to say, okay, could I have a bit more human touch and work directly with maybe one of the trainers that's on the videos? And so we've been essentially working with these trainers and building up the biggest coaching team in the Philippines. So from thousands of people screened to a couple of hundred that we feel are like the very best, the top coaches in the country. And it's always been about bridging the gap and connecting these coaches to potential clients that could benefit from them, right? So the way we do this is entirely digitally. And so it pretty much works this way. When we were looking at the challenges people face with coaching, I think there's two things. One is an accessibility issue, and the second problem is kind of an affordability issue or an incentive kind of issue, as I like to call it. So the first problem is usually to find coaches, you have to go to a physical gym, right? And that's where the coaches are, and whoever is there is going to help you. And that works very well if you're in a very central city with a lot of maybe gyms around you and where coaches are available. What if you don't have a gym close to you, right? Or what if, the gym is a bit further, or what if the coaches are taken, or what if, like it has happened over the past 2 years, right? You have COVID and all the gyms are closed. How do you get a trainer? So that's the number one challenge we saw. And the way we solve this is pretty much with a very data-driven and also, a personal touch matching process. So no matter what your goals are, whether you want to gain muscle, lose weight, learn how to jump rope, learn how to eat better, learn how to play golf better, we have a coach for you, and we can match you with a coach that really follows kind of your goals. And also based on the level of intensity you want. So do you want to train multiple times a week? Do you want to train a bit less? Do you want somebody that's very strict, somebody that's very relaxed? So we will match you based on all these criteria with a coach. The second thing we saw is usually in the, let's say, traditional model, you go to a gym and every hour that you train, you book the trainer and you will pay per hour. And we felt like that model worked to a certain extent, but it also kind of incentivized, obviously, the more you want to work out, the more you'll have to pay, obviously, which is, a challenge for a lot of people that want to be very active, but don't necessarily can afford, booking a coach for so many hours. So what we do, the way we do this is with a monthly subscription that's, fairly affordable. So we're launching very soon. It's going to be around $60 a month. With that amount, you get the full, pretty much 24/7 support of a coach that we connect you with directly via messaging, and you get weekly sessions that can be workouts or assessment sessions to review your progress. So pretty much for a subscription all in, you get the fully committed time and support of a coach. So we're excited about this. We already have about 500 people that have coaches right now and are working with coaches, even if we have not launched yet. That is launching in a couple of weeks. And we're quite excited to take it to market and see, what's the feedback from Rebel Coach.
We are also excited for these developments. We look forward to it. And Tushar, do you have any, new developments, new features, partnerships that you can share with us right now?
Well, first of all, we are very, focused on forging Healthify 2.0, as we are calling it. We want to actually adopt and really innovate on the cutting edge of technology in metabolic health. I believe metabolic health is still very using dated technology. Even Healthify's technology seems old to me in comparison to, I believe, what is possible with today's systems available. So, whether it is, like I said, relying on connected devices, on, sleep solutions, heart rate monitors, continuous glucose monitors. I mean, there are so many signals that we can now add in, interpret, and then utilize those to create better interventions via our AI and coaches. Is just that opportunity, I think, is phenomenal. So one of our key core focuses right now is to see on how we can design this 2.0 solution that really takes into account multiple other signals besides calorie counting and food and steps, and then really designs very personalized solutions that create even more effective outcomes. So there's a lot happening in that entire, in technology today around metabolic health that we believe we can really synergize, bring those solutions together, and come back with an incredible new offering that we are currently doing a lot of R&D on. I think the second piece is also looking at distribution, perhaps beyond. We are a hardcore B2C company. Our business has been built on consumer, but as we now hit a certain a stage of our scale and growth, it is time we partner with others as well. Food solution providers, grocery providers, and others that can help create better, healthier choices directly. Not just, as we move, it'll be great if we can move our advice to fulfillment. And at the same time, can we also operate with insurance companies, with pharma companies to make it easier and cheaper for people to be healthier and fitter? I think it makes sense. So, looking at customer points and where our customers are engaging with others, and really utilizing every opportunity that we can get to get people to make healthier choices is something that we are very keenly evaluating. So to summarize, I think really sort of forging the technological innovation here in metabolic health, and partnering with other customer touch points where we can use as opportunities to drive healthier behaviors are two areas that I think are things that you're likely to see. And perhaps the last piece is, we've seen a lot of efficacy of our solution in disease reversal, in reducing the impact of, unfortunate problems like diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension, PCOS. So that's an area that we are actually exploring, driving a better ecosystem around. And all these three areas, we are very open and excited to look at doing some interesting acquisitions or investments, minority investments, majority investments. We're very open for doing business, certainly in Asia, for sure.
Great new developments there as well, Tushar. We're excited for you. We also want to be forward-looking in terms of our growth targets. This is something interesting to ask if you have any that you set for yourself, and what are they for the next year and beyond? Is it like a new market launch, new geographies you're targeting, or related to your subscribers? So Gilles, can you give us some insights into the growth that you have set for yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, when we look at it's technology, right? So technology companies need to grow fast by nature. And obviously you have a lot of things you can leverage, right? Like network effects, and obviously building a flywheel that allows you to kind of snowball. And that's always what we're looking at. So I'm not going to share exact numbers, but like, as you see, we're launched in the Philippines first. We have 300,000 users there. At the end of the day, Southeast Asia, and that's really our focus, is close to 700 million people. So there's millions of people we can still reach. And our vision is always to reach as many people as possible and to help as many people as possible really get started. And that's why essentially the Rebel app, you can download it for free. You can get started with content, and then all the services that we build around Rebel are made to be as accessible as possible. So I think right now we think that there's demand everywhere, pretty much in Southeast Asia, with a couple of markets that are like obvious that we feel like could be big. What's interesting, I think, is what we've seen when we launched Rebel, and that was completely organic, is we've seen quite significant part of the audience that was even beyond Southeast Asia. And so as you might know, there are obviously a lot of Filipinos abroad, right, that live in so many different countries, from the US, Australia, Canada, that was part of their audience, but they were also telling their friends, right, about Rebel and being a new app that they could try. And we're seeing very similarly for a Rebel coach, we're seeing a lot of people that pretty much, are starting with a coach. And if we look at the mix for Rebel coach, it's really, Philippines would still be like maybe 50% of the audience, but the rest is really split between Singapore, Australia, Canada, the UK. So for us, it's really, listening to this and trying to see, okay, could the demand be even, further than we thought? And this is where we feel like there's, a global opportunity to take this to scale. So yeah, stay tuned. I won't share exact numbers there, but quite excited about growth.
Love those positive energy and great ambition. Tushar, is it something that is similar for you as well and your team to grow within this region, to grow beyond this region? Can you share some insights into your growth for the next 1 to 2 years?
Our mission is to healthify 1 billion people. Now, I believe it will take us 5 years to get there, and also to build a company that's $1 billion in top line. As I think a lot of my co-panelists here would probably agree. Look, fundamentally, obesity and linked lifestyle diseases today is as important a crisis as climate change. Really, we have tripled in obesity since the turn of the century, and if we compare that, 3 billion people are going to be suffering from it in the next decade. And most of the growth is going to come from emerging markets where people have sudden access to cheap food and nutrition. And as people are shifting from, hardworking, labor-intensive jobs to desk jobs, and in that transition, these markets are also full of younger individuals, and we really sort of putting our younger population at a burden, at risk of high calorie, low nutrition diets, something that we as older generation created in the first place to solve a crisis which doesn't exist anymore. So I think obesity is as important a problem as climate change. And I think the next 5 years, it is up to companies like us to really solve that. At a more granular level, look, in the next 2 years, I think our goal is to certainly be a $200 million top line company, to have presence in at least, several markets beyond India and Southeast Asia. We are currently experimenting in Europe, experimenting in Middle East, etc., in North America. So to see where a product and market fitment happens, even beyond our local regional footprint here. And it will be a 360 solution that, really sort of scratches the edge of technological innovation to help drive behavior change at its most efficient way possible. And help people reduce metabolic syndrome, help people avert this crisis that is here upon us. Look, 2 years or not, that really doesn't matter. I think the goal is to healthify 1 billion people. So the faster we can do it, the better it is.
Amazing insights and sharing, Tushar. We're very excited for you as well. I'm going to bring on Kevin. So Kevin, I know it is, you have your web app that is still in development, and that's going to be a great success, I'm sure. I wanted to see if you can paint us a vision of your big picture and what does success look like for you in the next 1 to 2 years.
Well, beside the most awaited web app, we have a lot of new mobile features as well that we're building at the moment. We're going to launch our social wall fully integrated within 360Wellness platform by the end of the year. So every company's instructors can directly share the content, event, product, and services to their clients, and the clients will see it, unlike the different social media platform they're using at the moment. We are also going into the full DFIT integration for the gamification of the platform and all the use cases implementation in Q1. And we are launching the DFIT DSE. DSE is the DFIT sport ecosystem. We want this cryptocurrency not just to be used by 360 Wellness, but we want this to really become a universal currency across the fitness industry. So we are moving towards building a total DAO organization, fully decentralized and autonomous, and bringing in a few other tech startups that would like to join us in implementing DFIT use cases with their community. So I'm calling out Gilles and anyone else who is listening today and interested to bring blockchain gamification to the platform and community, come and reach out to me, and together we can implement that to a larger audience and literally bring the whole fitness world onto the blockchain.
Amazing call there. Yes, everyone, please contact Kevin. A great collaboration opportunity there. All right, gentlemen, we are going to wrap up the panel in a bit. And this question is something that I'm personally very interested in, which is for any entrepreneur starting out, today, when they want to build their technology business, what advice would you give them as they start their journey? So I'll give you 1 second to think about it. And Gilles, what do you say?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think technology, first thing is there hasn't been, I think, as many opportunities in the past as today, right? Anybody can almost get started. And I think that's always kind of my first advice with this is, well, pretty much to just get started. I think being like Kevin knows that we're both French. We come from very theoretical environments where they always tell you to, wait very carefully every option and prepare yourself maybe, for months or for years before you do something. And I think, in tech and launching a startup is all about, getting started and figuring it out along the way. As long as, you put one foot forward and you're in movement, you can always find a way to progress, right? So maybe you'll go a bit too much to the left and you course correct a bit much to the right, and then you'll adjust. But as long as you keep moving forward, you're in the right direction. So I think it's always my advice is pretty much, if you have an idea, don't, necessarily wait to make it perfect or, to raise funds or like to be in a situation where you're comfortable. There are so many ways you can try it out. You can run targeted campaigns online and sell a product you maybe don't have yet, but that can verify that you have demand. You can do an MVP. Maybe that's not even a full app, but that's a service, right? So even, for example, you're building something for coaches. Do you really need to have the full-on app to get started? Maybe you just need to connect coach to a person, right? So anything that can put you in movement and get you to learn through your users is the most important, I feel. And that connects kind of to second advice, something that's been very important for us. And that's something I've kind of learned from somebody that told me this once is whatever you are doing, you have to almost, I think, remove yourself from the equation. Of course, we all like to think that, we have genius ideas and we're going to bring them to market and we have the vision. But at the end of the day, what matters is what data and what your users are telling you, right? So an idea is only as good as the feedback you get from the market. So it's all about kind of, trying things and then trying to see what your customers are telling you, talking to them every single day, right? We have one person in the team, every single day, her role is talking to the users, asking them questions, figuring out if they're happy, unhappy. And so for every single product, trying to figure out if you're doing the right thing or if you should maybe adjust it, maybe do it a bit differently. And a lot of things we've been doing for Rebel have come really naturally from our users suggesting either directly or the data showing you, something that maybe you wouldn't have suspected before. And so there's so many, I guess, tech companies that start with one product and then maybe they have a secondary product that they felt like was just a small addition that becomes the main product. And I think that's what we always try to listen to and be careful about is trying to see what could be the next big product. Yeah.
Great advice, Gilles. How about Tushar? What would you say? What would you say to people who wants to also start their own tech business? What advice would you give them?
Well, for all the people who are starting out very early, first of all, congratulations. I think it requires a certain element of risk-taking, bold decision-making, and, I think it takes a lot of a very high mental threshold to actually start something. So if you're already there, good on you, kudos, kind of half the battle is already won. I think the other three things I can leave some thoughts around is, first is probably focus on people. So, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. They are the ones that will really help multiply a lot of your vision and efforts and take it to heights that you haven't seen before. So make sure you have a great co-founding team, a great leadership team, and a phenomenal advisory team. I think all are very important. Make sure there is high chemistry. There is also complementarity of skill sets. And needless to say that all of them better be people who you'll really look up to. They should be better than you in their skill sets. And it's good to have very complementary and opposite skill sets than what you bring to the table, because that will ensure low conflict. And so people. Second would be lean and agile. So I think we used to obsess a little too much about what we thought customers wanted, and I think that's okay to an extent, but you should really go out there and get your product in the hands of your customers as early as possibly you can. Definitely a lot earlier than you are ready for it. Like definitely a lot earlier than the product is ready. So if you think that, hey, my product will be ready in 3 months from now, you should launch it today. And really let customers dictate what it means to be ready. Because when the rubber hits the road, all assumptions go out of the window, and everything you thought is probably going to be wrong. So it's important to really be getting customer feedback as early on as possible. It'll save a lot of time. Save time. If you think that you can, capital today, thankfully, is a lot more available than it was in my time. And I would just utilize it as much, whatever you need to do, just get out there, save time. It's taken us 10 years to get Healthify to this point. If there's only one regret I have, is that I should have done it in 5. And I believe I could have. I just, ended up wasting more time than I think we should have or could have. And the last piece probably would be to stay resilient. Startups is going to have lots of downs, and in between those, certainly a few ups. Just make sure that you're not. A lot of people say, "Hey, I can take the pain now for gain later." That's not the right attitude. Think of it like a video game. Enjoy the down and the up at all times, and stay like level-headed and resilient about it. The joy is in the journey. Most companies will fail, and they do fail. And and really the whole fun is that make sure you're having a great time with your team. You're enjoying the lows and the highs and the entire adventure around it. Obviously you'll run out of money at least once, maybe twice. So be prepared for it. And those things shouldn't suddenly disrupt your mental wellness for a long time. Know that you're going to have some spectacular disasters, and if you can, enjoy those. When it happens, you can be like, aha, now this is my first spectacular disaster. Let me take a photo and move on to my journey. That'll be great. So be resilient mentally and sort of as a company as well. I call it a 1,000-day rule nowadays. I keep telling young founders, the first 1,000 days are the most difficult. If you can get through the first 1,000 days, chances are you'd have probably stumbled across a fantastic product market fit. So remember that the journey does get easier after 1,000 days. And definitely if you're in your first 1,000 days, kind of, you're really going through the boot camp.
Great advice, Tushar. And we're going to wrap up with Kevin. Well, for entrepreneurs who are going to start their new tech business, like how you did, giving up like corporate jobs, what advice would you give them?
It's not going to be easy, but don't overthink it. Honestly, if I knew how big the challenge will be, I probably would have never done it. So diving head first was actually probably the best thing that I did. You need to have faith in yourself. You need to be resilient, and you need to be consistent. All right. It's a hell of a roller coaster emotionally, but consistency and resilience always pay off, right? So I like when we say that persistence always beats resistance, and it's definitely worth it at the end. I think entrepreneurial journey just change your perspective over so many things, right? And I know that regardless of what's going to be next for us, and for me personally, going back into a corporate world, I think will be very difficult. I was working, as you know, in the automotive engineering for 10 years as a head of product for Asia. And now I'm working in the fitness industry, which is the industry I've always loved the most. And I'm actually building great products for that industry that I'm passionate about. And I think this is just priceless. So don't overthink. Having an idea is great. Everybody has great ideas, but just go ahead and execute it. And you'll figure things out one thing at a time. It's definitely worth the hustle of launching your startup, especially in the technology industry.
Amazing words, Kevin. I think the whole industry can learn from that one quote that I was writing down. Persistence beats resistance. I think that's a really catchy one. And this whole industry, we are very resilient. So we would be able to fight off any resistance that comes our way, and wrap up 2021 in a beautiful box with a ribbon on top and kick off 2022 with a high. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for this amazing panel. I'm sure everyone has learned a lot from your candid sharing, all the case studies, all the examples, and this positive outlook. We hope that you enjoyed this panel, and there are many other panels to check out as well. And we hope to see you in person in 2022. Stay safe and have fun in the meantime, guys.